A vast selection of different breads at a bakery. Buns filled with sweet red bean paste, custard cream, or even curry. It's said that Japan has more types of bread than any other country. Bread came to Japan in the 16th century, along with firearms. A new bread product in the late 19th century incorporated a traditional Japanese sweet into Western bread. It led to a surge in the popularity of bread. Since then, Japanese bakers have continued to create recipes that suit Japanese tastes, making bread an integral part of the Japanese diet. On this edition of Begin Japanology, our theme is bread. We'll see how bread worked its way into a country that has a culture founded on rice, and explore the latest trends in Japanese baking.
Hello and welcome to Begin Japanology. I'm Peter Barakani. As you can see, I'm standing in a bakery and all around me is the aroma of freshly baked bread. Delicious. Having grown up in a bread-based culture, I must admit to being taken aback a little bit when I first came to Japan by how soft and springy the bread was here. But in the almost 40 years that I've been here, the variety of bread that's available in the shops has grown dramatically. The number of bakeries is also on the increase, not only Japanese ones, but quite a lot of foreign bakeries too. When you talk about the staple food of Japan, you automatically think of rice, but in fact, the Japanese do eat a large amount of bread. Let's take a look.
There are around 10,000 bakeries in Japan. Bread is also sold in convenience stores and supermarkets. Although rice is traditionally the staple food of Japan, in 2011, bread consumption per household surpassed rice consumption. The Japanese bread market is worth 1.4 trillion yen, larger than that of Italy or France. One thing that sets Japanese bread apart from that of other countries is its softness. Japanese people like a springy texture that you can get your teeth into. Most Japanese, accustomed to the soft chewiness of steamed rice, do not enjoy hard, crusty bread. Some people even claim that the Japanese produce less saliva than Westerners, making it tougher for them to eat hard breads. Another feature of Japanese bread is its diversity. Bread comes in so many shapes and flavors. It can even surprise those who come from a bread-eating culture. Let's take a look at some of the most popular varieties. First, a loaf of white bread. White bread makes up 20% of all bread sales. Most is sold pre-sliced. Some packages contain 8 slices for making sandwiches, others from 6 to 3 slices for toast, accommodating consumers' varying preferences for thickness. You can't talk about Japanese bread without mentioning the sweet bean paste bun. It's made with red bean paste in a shell of bread dough. The shape and flavor of this bread echo traditional Japanese confections.
Wrapping the dough around the filling in your hand is an Eastern concept, I suppose. Wrapping things up is part of Japanese culture. You can also see it in wrapping cloths and kimonos.
This is a cream bun. It contains custard cream, and it was inspired by the cream puff. Many cream buns have a glove-like shape. They were originally simple half circles, but this caused air pockets to form inside the buns, and that made customers feel they were being cheated. So bakers started to make cuts in the buns to let air escape. This deep-fried bread with a crisp outside is a curry bun. It contains Japanese-style curry. The bulging batter-fried appearance was apparently inspired by breaded pork cutlets. In addition to filled buns, Japanese bakeries make rolls with all kinds of fillings. The ingredients range from fried noodles to croquettes to potato salad. The idea is that you put a favourite everyday dish in bread. This type of bread is called a meal in a roll. Recently, an even greater variety of ingredients has been combined with bread. One prominent trend is local breads featuring local delicacies. This roll from Niigata has a grilled mackerel in it. The famous Kyoto rice cake confection provides the filling for this bun. And Satsuma mandarins, a famous product of Ehime, are worked into the dough of this bread, giving it a zesty citrus aroma. From the simplicity of white bread to regional specialities, the Japanese enjoy a wide range of bread as meals and as snacks.
This is the bread section of a Tokyo supermarket, and in addition to your regular white bread, there's various pastries, the uniquely Japanese things that we've just seen in the video with bean paste and custard cream and all sorts of things like that in them. And they're all individually wrapped. That's the way they do it in Japanese supermarkets. Over here we've got breads, pastries, bagels and things all made with natural yeast. These ones are a little bit more pricey. The word for bread in Japanese is pan. And that comes from the Portuguese. And in case you're wondering why, let's take a look at how bread arrived in Japan in the first place.
Bread made its first appearance in Japan in the 16th century. It probably came, along with firearms, from a Portuguese ship that had drifted ashore in Tanegashima, an island in Kagoshima. But in that era, only foreign traders and missionaries ate bread. Bread failed to attract the interest of the Japanese until the 19th century, when Britain defeated China in the Opium War. There was a fear in the shogun's government that Japan would be next. The military scholar, Egawa Taro Zaemon, was ordered to make plans for the country's defense. As he studied how to strengthen Japan's military readiness, Egawa came to see bread's value as a ration in combat. Rice had to be cooked each time, but bread kept well, and you could save labor by keeping large stocks ready. This was how large-scale bread production started in Japan. Egawa's bread was hard because it had a low moisture content, but it kept for a very long time. In the late 19th century, Japan rapidly assimilated Western culture, and a unique new made-in-Japan bread appeared. The sweet bean paste bun. It was the brainchild of a former samurai named Yasubei Kimura, who had lost his livelihood when the shogun was deposed, and his second son, Eizaburo. Yasubei met a man who had worked as a cook in the home of a foreigner in Nagasaki, and learned from him how to bake bread. At that time, few Japanese were accustomed to bread. Father and son, through a process of trial and error, tried to devise a kind of bread that the Japanese would buy. In 1874, they perfected a revolutionary new bread for the Japanese palate. They took a hint from a typical confection of the day, a steamed bun filled with red bean paste. They used the same kind of rice yeast to leaven the dough, but then baked it. With its familiar texture and flavor, this new bean paste bun quickly became a huge hit in Tokyo. The next year, it was even presented to Emperor Meiji. For the emperor, an ordinary bean paste bun was deemed too plain, so salt-pickled cherry blossom petals were placed in the center. The emperor was so thrilled with the taste of the bun that he asked for a regular supply to be ordered. The bread that the emperor loved is still baked exactly the same way in the Ginza district of Tokyo. Its success ushered in the age of bread as a part of Japanese life. Cream buns, curry buns, melon buns. A parade of new breads was invented and proved popular. In 1945, after the end of the Second World War, Japan was suffering from severe food shortages. The United States, the victor, sent a huge amount of wheat to Japan as relief supplies. With rice hard to come by, bread became a lifeline. Schools added bread rolls to school lunches, and bread became part of everyday Japanese eating habits. Once Japan had recovered and entered its boom years, Western culture became associated with prosperity, and lifestyles became more westernized. Eating bread came to be seen as stylish. Eventually, no longer satisfied with bread from bakeries, some people started baking at home. In the 1980s, the bread machine was developed. As the complex process of leavening was automated, making it easy to bake bread at home, baking machines became a big hit. These days, there's a new type of bread made with rice flour rather than conventional wheat flour. The Japanese bread market continues to be characterized by innovation and diversity.
This is the showroom of a major appliance manufacturer who in 1987 developed Japan's first automated bread baking machine for use in the home. And their latest machines can even make bread without using wheat flour. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Now, so this is the latest model, is it?
Yes, you can make bread out of rice using this.
Make bread out of rice? That's pretty weird. And you actually have a bowl here with rice already soaked in water. You're going to have to explain to me how you do this.
First, we're going to put the rice and water in this bread pan.
Normally, when you make bread, you make it out of flour. But we've just got rice in here. I don't see how that's going to turn into bread somehow, unless you have some sort of special magic potion that you use here.
The secret is right here in this mill. It has blades in it. And these teeth do the job of grinding the rice and turning it into paste.
Oh, wow.
Next, we're going to add salt and sugar in here. And don't forget the butter.
Butter with rice. Now, that's a pretty weird combination as well. All right.
And then, in this separate container here, we're going to put wheat gluten and dry yeast.
And that's what makes the bread rise, yeah?
That's right. In goes the dry yeast. Open the lid and place the pan inside. Then put the gluten and yeast container back into the lid. Press start and that's it.
Okay, and how long is it going to take to bake?
About 4.5 hours.
4.5 hours. Okay, well, we're going to have to wait a little while. While we're doing that, you can take a look at how bread has been used as a tool to revitalize whole cities.
Tsukuba, a city in Ibaraki. These days, it's promoting itself as Bread City. Tsukuba is home to many universities and research institutions, and a lot of foreigners live there. That's one reason why it has always had a lot of bakeries, around 40 in fact. The city government and the city's bakers together formed a project team and launched a grassroots promotional campaign.
Tsukuba tends to be associated with cutting-edge technology, but we're surrounded by green fields, and a lot of great food is made on the farms here as well. We thought about what bakeries could do, beginning with wheat. But we're also thinking of the big picture. What can we do with all of these local farm products?
Potatoes, carrots, negi leeks, spinach, tomatoes, a cornucopia of ingredients. The team members baked a series of test breads using local produce. This one has spinach mixed into the dough and a filling of pumpkin paste. And this is a fruity tasting bread with strawberry mixed into the dough. Tsukuba research institutions pitched in by proposing new possibilities for wheat itself. The National Institute of Crop Science studies crop improvement and cultivation techniques for grains and vegetables. They came up with a special wheat for bread making that has a higher protein content than typical Japanese-grown wheat.
Japanese wheat tends to come out dry when baked into bread. This wheat gives you a moister-feeling bread that has a good texture even on the second day.
The goal of the Bread City campaign is to make delicious bread available all over Tsukuba whenever you want it. Now let's see a city with a special interest in curry buns. Higashi Osaka in Western Japan is home to what was Japan's first stadium intended just for rugby. Eager to promote Higashi Osaka as a rugby city, local officials saw the curry bun as an opportunity because of its resemblance to a rugby ball. Higashi Osaka was once the home of a curry factory, so curry is close to local hearts. So far, 27 bakeries have signed up for the campaign started by the city government.
The first thing a lot of people ask is, why curry buns in Higashi Osaka? So we'd like to build on that and make them think, interesting idea, I'd like to try one. We want Higashi Osaka to be the city of curry buns.
The immediate context for the campaign is a loss of vitality in the main Higashi Osaka shopping area. And behind this is the nationwide recession and the declining local population. After a series of meetings, the 8th of each month was designated Curry Bun Day. Why? Well, because two curry buns placed side by side look just like the figure 8. Each bakery plans ways to draw in customers on Curry Bun Day. This bakery has been in business for more than 80 years. They decided to offer a discount on their special curry buns on the 8th of the month. They also worked with an Italian chef to develop a new curry bun. It's called the solamente, from the Italian meaning only available here. The recipe emphasizes the sweetness of the vegetables and tones down the spiciness.
We want to put not just curry in the buns, but also our passion, along with the curry. I think that would definitely make a positive difference.
Bread is even helping to revitalize struggling communities.
Ooh, it looks good and oh, it smells good too. It's nothing like the aroma of freshly baked bread. Let's have a try.
Okay.
Close this up, shall I? Wow. Oh, it looks great. There's a good crusty sound as you cut it. Okay, nice thick slice there too.
Here, try this.
Thank you. Okay, let me tear a piece off this. Quite warm.
How is it?
You know, if I hadn't been told, I wouldn't know that that was made from rice. There's a lightness about it that's maybe a little different from regular bread. But other than that, the taste it tastes like bread. That's really quite amazing.
I also made bread with carrots and hijiki seaweed, which you'd usually have with rice rather than bread.
Wow. So the hijiki gives it this kind of brown colour.
Yes.
I see. And that doesn't use wheat at all? You've just done that with rice alone? Wow. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's move on now and take a look at a little bakery in a small Tokyo neighbourhood that went on to become world famous.
Nishi-Ogikubo in western Tokyo is home to a bakery that has become well known even outside Japan. Mitsuo Hirose is the bakery's owner. With his wife Chiho and 3 employees, he runs a small shop. They start baking their lineup of 50 to 70 different breads at 5 a.m. each day.
The bread I make might be hard or soft, but the main thing I'm aiming for is bread with no additives. I believe bread like that is the best. I really do.
Making additive-free bread means no yeast starter to accelerate leavening, no baking powder, no emulsifiers, no food coloring, and no preservatives. Hirose was born into a baking family. He was the 3rd son. In his 30s, he suffered health problems, and food additives were identified as the cause. That prompted him to start baking additive-free bread. He says that even bread claiming to be made with natural ingredients usually has some kind of chemical additive. So he embarked on a process of trial and error to find a way to make bread that was completely free of additives. Hirose's bread making depends first and foremost on its ingredients. Using farm products grown using dangerous agrochemicals would defeat the whole purpose. The wheat flour he uses is grown naturally. The eggs come from hens that are not confined to cages and which are given fresh feed. He uses spring water. Hirose personally visits the producers of his ingredients to see for himself that their methods meet his standards. He also applies a unique philosophy to the actual making of the bread. He uses no machinery, even when mixing the flour. It's all done by hand. Hands-on methods like this were typical before the Second World War, but now most bakeries rely on machines.
Not many people hand make bread anymore. Hardly anybody does it. Very few bakers do things this